Hey Kylie, how are you doing tonight?
I'm doing well, guys. How about you? I
Doing.
see I see you're together in the same room.
We are together in the same room.
I just got here, like teleported. I'm shocked. It's been a year.
Uh, yeah. Oh my goodness. Um, I'm really confusing Ryan with our setup too. So there's that. But
There's human contact. It's been so foreign for so long. Actually, we're not actually touching. It just looks like it. But now, yeah, there's this about a half an inch. But that is something I haven't had. Just non-family member,
right?
on the elbow.
I feel you.
So, non-serious, serious question. Pittsburgh is pretty much on the same latitude as Cincinnati, right? And you're pretty
so.
close.
I think so. Yeah. I mean,
right?
Midwest, whatever.
Well, you're in the rivers, right? The three rivers.
Yep.
And does your new shop get as humid as it shouldn't here? Is my next question.
I mean, our new shop has amazing air conditioning. So I don't know about the humidity level. It hasn't been too hot lately, but in general, yes, Pittsburgh summers, very humid. That said, I mean, I lived in the South for almost a decade, so I can handle Pittsburgh humidity. The South is like, oh, I just took a shower and then I stepped outside and I'm still taking the shower.
Yeah. This is about as far south as I can take it in terms of humidity. So yeah, I totally get that. So how about you go ahead and introduce yourself? I'll say this. You were extremely kind. This is how I'm going to introduce you, and then you can introduce yourself. But I met you at the Alliance trade show in Fort Wayne a couple of years ago. You were extremely kind and talked to me and gave me tons of ideas as I was managing a retail location. You spent your time, and it was wonderful getting to know you that night. And we've had a couple of exchanges online just on Facebook since then, but that was the main way I've known you. You are also now on the retail side of the GAMA board. And so seeing you kind of get elected to that and flourish there as I was on the media side of it this last month, that was fun. So that's my introduction. How would you like to introduce yourself to everybody?
You leave out that when I met you at the Alliance Open House, you were working for Out of the Box,
yes,
which was a store in Michigan that was a big influence on me when I was thinking about opening a store. I got to know the owner of Out of the Box, and there was a lot of, I want my store to be like this. So there's a bit of a reciprocal. You were in charge of a store that was already high in my mind for what a game store should be. But yeah, it was a good time. That was the last in-person, because I think that was 2019.
Yeah.
So that was the last in-person Alliance Open House.
Yeah.
It was like the second to last convention I went to before GAMA Expo in 2020, before everything shut down. But no, it was a good time. It was good to hang out with you.
Tell about your experience coming to ownership at Games Unlimited. Because I enjoyed you telling me about that experience, because you started as a retail clerk there, right? First,
sort of. So I got into gaming in about 2010. At the time, I was looking for a new career path. I had been working on a PhD in philosophy and teaching, and I liked that, but it wasn't working out. Decided I didn't want to be in academia. I was working in a coffee shop. And after I got married, my wife and I got really into gaming, and there was this game store a couple blocks away, which is Games Unlimited, that had been in business since 1979, and it looked like it had been in business since 1979. It was, like 1,000 square foot filled to the rafters with games, no organization system, but you never know what you'd find in there. And so I got to know the owner as I was getting into games, and decided maybe a year into this that, well, maybe that should be my career path. Maybe I should open a game store, knowing about retail, knowing nothing about the games industry. And my wife encouraged me to talk to Bob, who was the owner of Games Unlimited, So, one day I said, hey, I don't want to step on your toes in any way. But I was thinking, maybe this could be something that I could do someday, open a game store. I wouldn't want to compete with you. And he himself at the time was in his mid 60s. And he was looking to retire, and he didn't have any kids. So he said, well, what if you came on and I could sort of train you, tell you what I know about the business, and sell you the business?
Yeah.
So sort of started an apprenticeship. So I actually started very much with the intention of learning it and then purchasing the business down the road. So that was there from the get-go. And everything really just worked out great. I mean, it was, I think, less than 6 months into me working there, he was actually diagnosed with cancer. It was almost fatal at the time. But basically, he was like, well, you know how to do everything. Take over now. I can't handle anything. So I was just sort of thrown into the deep end. Unfortunately, he recovered, and he's still with us. He retired. I purchased the business in 2015, and now he babysits my kids several times a week.
Oh, I love that.
Yeah.
Love that.
It's been
I think that's where you came in. You told the story a little bit differently last time, and I think that's where you came into the story last time, was saying that you had been interested in the idea and you were already working for him with that in your mind, and he kind of thrust it upon you, is how you started the story when you told me the first time. So, I mean, that's quite the baptism by fire, right?
Yeah. It really was. In fact, I'll tell you just a small anecdote. There was a time I was working at the coffee shop across the street. So I had a full-time job there. I would open at 5:30 in the morning, and work till 1 in the afternoon. Well, we had one other employee at the time, and Bob was in the hospital, and that employee would only open the store at 11 and work till 3. So I would work for about 6 weeks. I'd open the coffee shop at 5:30, get off my shift at 1 o'clock, go in the back room and nap for an hour, and then come into the game store at 2 and work till closing at 7, go home, fall asleep, do it again the next day.
Yeah.
That was definitely the baptism, but
that sounds about right.
Yeah.
I was going to ask if he was still a customer, but I mean, watching your kids is so much better.
Yeah. Well, and it was great during the quarantine, during the past year. He was basically part of our quarantine pod because he, obviously immunocompromised.
Yeah.
He was being very cautious, not going to the grocery store, not doing anything. So the only place he would go is he'd come to our house. He'd watch the kids for a few hours while my wife and I were trading our work duties, and then he'd stay and we'd play games, till late in the evening. So it was a lot of fun.
Love that.
Yeah, that's really great. So what was your first experience with modern gaming then? What brought you in during those years?
Yeah. So, I mean, I had played prior to 2010. When I look back on it, I was like, yes, I had played Ticket to Ride at some point with some people. I played Catan, but I hadn't developed, for lack of a better word, I hadn't developed the bug. They're isolated incidences. Yes, I've played this game, but I don't consider myself a board gamer, right? That didn't really happen. So the game that sort of started that transition, which is not a game I recommend as a gateway game to people, was the Battlestar Galactica board game.
Oh yeah, I remember. Yeah.
Big, heavy game. Now, my wife and I mean, Battlestar Galactica was actually very crucial and formative to our courtship. Our wedding was unofficially Battlestar Galactica themed, big fans. The new one, the Ron Moore series. So yeah, we'd heard, well, there's this board game. I'm like, oh, well, someone actually right after we got married had given us his collection of the collectible card game, the Battlestar Galactica. So we played that a little bit right after we were married. But again, it was just this is a fun little thing to do. There's a board game. Well, let's find out what it's about. And into Games Unlimited. That might have been my first time in Games Unlimited. Do you have this game? Actually, I remember what it was is we were going to have a dinner party with another couple who were also Battlestar fans. So I said, let's get this game. And this was the couple we had played Ticket to Ride with. So, I'm assuming this is like Ticket to Ride, right? That's a game.
Same thing.
So go into Games Unlimited, pick up this game, drive over to their house. We eat dinner. And it's okay, let me crack open this game and learn the rules.
Oh.
And it's like, you guys might want to go chat for a while. Let me see if I can figure this out. But this was in the time before we all had kids, so this was fine. I spent an hour or so reading the rules, taught it, like we learned it, we played it, we loved it. It was great. And from that point, basically tried to have weekly gatherings, right? Because this is not an easy game to teach. So we taught it to a couple other friends. So the ones who knew how to play it, we got to get together and play this game. And it wasn't until in January or February of 2010, there was a huge snowstorm in Pittsburgh that like shut the city down for a week, which meant like we couldn't get together with our friends. We were like, we really want to play Battlestar Galactica. We can't get together with our friends. But my wife and I realized, well, maybe we can play another game. Is there another game? Went into Games Unlimited. Carcassonne was recommended to us. It was a good 2-player game. Played it, and that was sort of from that moment on, it was like every week, well, what's another good game? What's another good game? And that sort of started the buzz, the identifier, the moniker of gamer, because just wanting new games all the time.
Oh, okay. So is that how that was one of our prep questions? How do you define a gamer?
Yeah.
Somebody who's addicted to games and can't stop buying them? Or?
Yeah, I mean, that's a weird one, especially because, my store, we don't necessarily position ourselves as like, we're a game store, but we're not like trying to market to gamers, quote unquote. Right. Our big thing is like creating new gamers. I'm still using that term, but we want to introduce the idea of board games to more people. When I think about the moniker gamer, I was talking to someone just the other day, and I was thinking about, in my head, maybe this is idealized, but I think about like the German gaming market. I don't know that Germans use the term gamer, at least not in the way we do. Okay. Because it's part of their culture. This is where the Spiel des Jahres comes in, right? It's part of their culture that it's a thing that's known that we do. We play games together as a family. We play games with our friends. So it'd be the same way that we don't consider ourselves like, oh, I'm an avid TV watcher, right? We all watch TV. It's just a thing that we do. Yeah. And like what I would like to see is that we don't necessarily think in terms of gamer, because tabletop gaming eventually in the States has become so mainstream. It's just something we all do. Right. Now, one big shift, and this is something I talk about with my customers, when people walk into the store and they don't really know what we do, so many people consider board games the thing you do. Like you come in, you get a game to take on your summer vacation for a rainy day, right? You do it when the power's out. Like it's a thing that we'll do because it's kind of a fun pastime when we can't do the other things that we really enjoy. Yeah. And I guess I would say that a gamer is a person who's gone beyond that, who's going to say, oh no, given an option, given this palette of things that I could do with my time, one of those things is I want to play tabletop games with people. Yeah. So, and whether or not there's an identity enfolded into that, like gamer often has connotations and all these things. So, I look at my customers, some of them are never going to call themselves a gamer. Doesn't matter. They're coming in and they're buying a new game every month. You tell me whether they're a gamer or not. And again, they may never go to Board Game Geek. They may not be looking at Kickstarters. They might be doing all of these things that we associate with the tabletop gaming lifestyle. But they love games. They love getting together with people and playing games. They love learning new games. So they're a gamer in my book. Yeah. Yeah, no, absolutely. That's one of the things that we've talked a lot about is like, gatekeeping and things like that they're not useful. Yeah. Yeah. Absolutely not. Yeah. No. So you're making a transition with your store. Let's go ahead and talk about that for a second. You've been in this little 1,000 square foot space for a while. Your new space looks beautiful. Can't wait to visit it. Share why you decided to make the big change, because you had previously said you kind of wanted to stay where you were forever. So tell me about that. Yeah, tell us about that. Yeah. So it's weird to have you. Yeah. The old space, like I said, it was tiny, 1,000 square foot, jammed to the gills. But that was what I knew how to run. So one of the things I remember, actually, the first time I went to the GAMA trade show, as it was known then, so that, I don't know if your listeners know, but the Game Manufacturers Organization, they have these annual trade shows, and like all aspects of the industry can come and like talk to each other and have seminars and things like that. And I go into that and I see all these stores that, oh yeah, we do $1 million a year in sales. I've got 15 employees, and this, that, and the other. And I'm like, oh, I'm basically a one-person operation, right? That's how Bob always did it. Just like, he might occasionally have a staff member or two so he could go on vacation. But, for him, it wasn't uncommon for him to just work 7 days a week. He had nothing else to do. But someone at that first GAMA trade show was like, that's a valid business model too, right? Don't think that you have to have 15 employees to be successful. Are you making a living for yourself? And so that was something I really leaned into, largely because there was no way to grow in this space, right? Like, there's only so much I can do. Never had events. Didn't have tables, we didn't sell Magic, we didn't do F&M, we didn't have board game nights. No. You come in, you talk to us, you buy a game, you leave. Right? And so many game stores really thrive on that third space thing. Like, we need people to come in and hang out and play games. So I really leaned into that. But after 5 years of doing it this way, I was really thinking, what is the next step? How, do I just want to do it this way? Do I want to do it this way for the next 20, 30 years? Or is there another way that I can do it? Not necessarily that I want to go to the 15 employee model and the Friday night Magic and all of that, but is there another way to do it? So actually it was start of 2020. I was looking at, my lease in that place was going to be up in April of 2021. So I had about 15 months. It's like, you know what? I want to move. I want a bigger space. So that's going to be my goal. And I remember at the GAMA Expo, which was the last convention I was at before lockdown happened in 2020. So in March, I was telling everybody, all of my colleagues, if I haven't moved by the end of 2020, it's only because I'm lazy. I was like, you need to keep me on track. Keep pestering me. Tell me, what are you doing? Are you going to move, or are you just going to get complacent and stay in that spot? Of course, then COVID lockdown happens, and I just assume, well, this isn't going to happen. 2020 is not the year to move. And we were in Pennsylvania. We were shut down completely for 7 weeks. We couldn't even do curbside or anything. So we were just done for 7 weeks. And when we did open back up, everyone really wanted to do curbside. It's like, we set up a website like so many retailers did. Like, we've got to have an online presence so people can order stuff and pick it up at our store. But I also knew I can't open this 1,000 square foot with like non-ADA compliant 1.5 foot wide aisles. There's no way you can social distance in this space. It's just not going to happen. So even though we were, legally we were allowed to open up, we probably could have had a couple of people in the store at a time. I made the decision, nope, we're just going to do curbside. We can't take that risk and continue to have people in the store. But then it was just sort of, well, is this sustainable? We don't know how long this pandemic is going to last. Is curbside alone going to be able to pay the bills, or is this going to be the end for Games Unlimited? And I figured the only way to do it would be to open back up. And the only way to open back up is to find a bigger space.
Okay. Yeah.
So that was really the impetus to be able to open back up safely in something. So we found a space. I mean, just perfect. It had all the things that I wanted. I did not think that would be possible. Higher foot traffic location, same neighborhood, so all my loyal customers weren't going to have to go to a different part of the city. It's only 4 blocks away from our location. And we set it up so that everything's big and open. We actually put everything on wheels, all of our fixtures on wheels, so that we could rearrange it. It's like, well, maybe we can fit some more things in later, but keep it as open as possible. Yeah. And it's worked out. It's worked out very well. It's one of those things. It's like, I wish I could have done this 5 years ago.
No, it looks really good. Can't wait to visit. Yeah. Yeah, Ryan was just checking it out beforehand. He was like, "That's a really nice looking store."
Oh yeah. I was like, there's a couple of different cities that have unlimited gaming.
Games Unlimited. A store with the same name.
There's one in Danville, California. There's Games Unlimited.
Oh, I thought it was Danville, Illinois.
There's a big difference between.
I have spoken with the owners of the Danville store because every once in a while, like, I might get a shipment from a distributor.
Oh no,
that's meant for them, or vice versa. And,
that would but I believe it. I mean, we've both worked in retail. We know how that can go.
Yeah, that could happen. And then there's like some European-based scam phone app thing called Unlimited. Because basically, I will get email like, "I'm going to sue you. You need, my child downloaded this thing on my phone, and now you're charging me $5 a month." And like, it's just something, the credit card statement says Games Unlimited, and they do a Google search for Games Unlimited, and they see me, and then I get their vitriol.
And you're like, "No, it's that one's in Danville."
Exactly. You want to talk to them. Actually, like, at one point, it got so bad, like, I was getting 4 or 5 of these emails a day, and I called the Danville store just to see if they were getting it too, and they weren't, which tells me my web presence is better.
Yeah. Well, I mean, that's one of how did you do well? Did the puzzles help out? Because you've been doing puzzles online for a few years anyways, right?
Yeah. Well, we had been. I mean, I actually, a couple of years ago, I just completely eliminated our online store.
Okay.
Just because I had watched the decline of our online store. So again, little history with the store. It's been around for so long. And Bob was one of the first websites to sell games.
Yeah.
It was actually a big thing between him and one of his former partners. Like, in the late 90s, the store wasn't doing great. And Bob believed, we got to get on this World Wide Web thing. And his partner was like, "I don't think that's going to save us. I want out." So he bought his partner out, taught himself HTML, put this website up, and just, I mean, like, the early 2000s were just gangbusters because it was like one of the only places with jigsaw puzzles. He was shipping puzzles like to Australia and South America and all these places. Like, so that really saved the store. So, and we were still doing a pretty good online business when I came in, but between 2011 and probably, I want to say 2016 or so is when I nixed the online. You could just see the decline. And it's obvious why. I mean, I'm not trying to blame Amazon, but basically, like, okay, even though puzzles, unlike games, like puzzles we could sell at the same price that websites are selling them for, puzzles weren't devalued the way games are in the online marketplace, but it's the shipping, right? Like, I gotta ship these things, and like, I kept having to raise my free shipping threshold. And it's like, look, you could buy one puzzle from Amazon for the same price you can buy it from me and get free shipping.
Yeah.
It's like, so I saw the writing on the wall and just shut it all down.
Okay. I didn't realize that. I remember the earlier part of the story.
Yeah.
I don't know if we had talked about. So what draws people to your store, whether it's the first time or the repeat customers? What do you think it makes a store like yours special? Like, why shop with you?
I think it's our expertise and it's customer service, right? It's friendliness. And these seem like basic things, but they're actually not basic things when you talk to a lot of, well, we've all been to game stores.
Yep.
Sometimes they're not the basic thing, but again, because we don't necessarily run on the traditional third space model, we're not having events. We don't make money by running events and hoping people also buy a game or buy snacks. We're just selling you the exact same product that you could buy online cheaper. So why are you buying from us? Because you come in, we talk to you, we get to know your likes and dislikes, we find a game that we feel like is perfect for you. 9 times out of 10 it is. So you come back a couple weeks later, that game was awesome. What else you got for me?
Yeah.
Is it always Battlestar Galactica for new gamers?
No. Well, and it's one of those things, like, that's the thing. It's And you have to be careful with your hiring too. And maybe you've experienced this. Like I've certainly had some employees, you don't, a good person on the sales floor knows how to sell a game that they hate.
Yes.
Because they know who the right person is. And it's also not just about trying to sell any game. It's also knowing not to sell the game that isn't going to work for that person.
Yeah.
Right?
Like if you came into my shop and you were like, me and my wife really like Battlestar Galactica and we've played Catan a few times, and we're going to have a date night with some people and I want to pick this up. No offense to Bob, but I would be like, we'll hop online and watch some playthroughs.
Oh gosh. Yeah. No. The whole point is that our staff can answer that. You tell us, and we'll ask a few more probing questions.
Yeah.
Right? Really, we need you to feel like we're listening to you. We care about your likes and dislikes. We want to find you that thing, and I think really that's just the key. And because people know, it used to be everyone's like, well, it's open, we don't want people to know stuff's cheaper online. Everyone knows that now.
Yeah, it's not a secret.
It's not a secret. It's not even an open secret. But people realize, you know what? Yeah, I could go on Board Game Geek and see what those people say and buy 3 games and maybe hate all 3 of them. Because, the beauty is, even if I send you home with a game and you end up not liking that game, you will have liked that interaction so much that you're willing to come back and say, that game didn't quite work out for me. And then we'll have a conversation about why. And you trust that I'll be able to find you the next one.
Yeah.
And be like, well, Ryan, maybe the reason that you didn't like Battlestar Galactica isn't because it's a bad game. It's because everybody you play with is awful. And that's why you stopped playing co-ops in 2018. Sorry, this is like a full circle from season 1. You said Battlestar Galactica, and I'm just like remembering like the first time I played it with very experienced players. And,
that's awful.
And then I was a Cylon and a trader, and no one told me what to do. And then another person became a Cylon, and then they yelled at me, and I'm like, this isn't really fun, guys.
Yeah.
And that's definitely co-ops for a year.
It's not a casual game. Well, and, people always too, like, I actually get this question less than I used to, which I like, but like, I hate people like, well, what's your favorite game? I'm like, well, I mean, I'll tell you my favorite game, but it's probably not for you.
Right.
Just because.
What is your favorite game?
My favorite game is War of the Ring.
Okay.
Yeah.
And again, that is a 2-player, 4-hour war game steeped in Tolkien lore.
Yep.
Now, if I talk to you and I find out you're a huge Tolkien nerd, you love playing Axis and Allies, okay, this is probably going to be something you like. But if I talk to you and you're like, yeah, I really like Ticket to Ride and Code Names, and I want something at that level, doesn't matter. I'm not going to recommend War of the Ring to you.
No.
My favorite game, but
love that game.
Yeah.
But yeah, no. That's interesting. That you and your wife both love Battlestar Galactica, but you wanted to play that game together because, for those who don't know, who haven't seen it, spoiler alert, haven't seen it, everybody's basically a Cylon by the end.
I never finished season 2.
So
it's been like 5 years. I've been planning on it.
No, statute of limitations is up, Ryan.
Yeah.
Well, you're going to tell me Bruce Willis was dead the whole time, Max, aren't you?
It was Tyler Durden the whole time.
That's crazy that you would, I don't know, that you and your wife would be like, yes, we're going to base our marriage around this theme that's based on lies and treason.
Well, but see, that's the important thing. We early on in our marriage, we realized we're not married when we play games. While we're at that table, there's no holds barred.
Yeah.
One of my favorite gaming moments actually this was years ago. We used to get together with some people, like there'd be like 20 of us, just basically having a board game day, different games being played. And we played a game of Cosmic Encounter. And I don't know if you're familiar with Cosmic, but Cosmic is all about negotiations and backstabbing. And we were at this point in the game where both of us were 1 point away from winning. we had to attack each other. And if we both negotiated, we would both win. So, and the way it works in that game is you basically say, I'm willing to negotiate if you are, but you have to have a negotiate card in your hand. Yep. And you lay the card face down. And if I said negotiate, if I put a negotiate card down and she didn't, she would win the game on her own, and vice versa.
Right.
And so we both said, yeah, let's negotiate.
Yeah.
It was like a record scratch. Everyone playing all their other games came over to watch this moment. Would they lie to each other? Would they actually do the negotiate? And neither of us did. Of course not.
Felt like there was getting to be a cliffhanger there. But who won?
I don't remember, actually.
It's good that
I just know what I remember is both of us said we would negotiate, and both of us lied.
I think not. That part being clouded by history makes the rest of the story that much richer.
It really is. It really is.
I need to divorce my wife during board games. That's a good idea. Yeah, I think she might assault me, but yeah, she's.
It's a much different story. The one time I played Twilight Imperium. With Twilight Imperium 4, when it first came out, got together with some of my employees, 11 hours of gaming. And what's funny about it, so we basically got to a point where it was either me or one other guy was going to win on the next round. We knew the next round was going to take 45 minutes. We'd been playing, we were tired. So we decided, let's just call it a draw, because the other 4 players weren't going to have fun because they knew it was going to be one of us 2.
Yep.
Let's just call it a draw. But of course, to this day, he and I argue about who would have really won had we played that last round.
And so you've never played it since then?
No.
Oh, goodness. It's such a good game. But, the difference with that game is you need, one person who really knows what's going on and is prepared to play and has it, all organized out. And then it makes it a completely different gaming experience.
Well, the thing was, we enjoyed it. Again, all of us involved were happy we've done it.
Yeah.
Right. And we did. We set a day. We started at noon. We played till almost midnight. And it was great. But probably 4 of the 6 of us were like, yeah, I've done that. I don't need to do it again. But again, largely the length and I know people. I have a friend who plays that game several times a month, and his group can play it in 2.5 hours. They've got it down.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. I mean, that's really fast, but.
Yeah, I mean, they've been playing a lot.
You got your heavy games, you got your play group, and there's a couple where you just have to agree. All right, guys, we've learned how to play Trickerion. Do we ever want to play this again? Because if we do, we need to play it more than once a year. Otherwise, if we don't play it more than once a year, when somebody recommends it, I'm going to put it away.
Yeah. Well, that's what my wife and I did actually with War of the Ring. We used to play it once a year. I mean, we both liked it, but it was a 4 to 5 hour affair. We'd usually do it on our anniversary. We'd go away and we'd take the game with us. And one year I said, you know what? After the kids are born, it's we can't do this. We gotta put the kids to bed. We don't have 4 hours. I said, if we play this game once a week, I bet we'll get it down.
Mm-hmm.
And we did that for the better part of a year. And we can play War of the Ring in 2 hours now, which means we can put the kids to bed and actually play a game of War of the Ring. So,
that's awesome.
But yeah, if you can, if you've got the game you like that's worth doing a deep dive and you got the group, that's great.
That's cool. What are you guys playing right now?
Oh gosh, I wish I could play more. Really what I'm looking forward to is what you two have. My employees, we're all getting vaccinated. We're in various stages, and we've got this, this new space. We have a second floor that eventually we're going to actually have gaming tables on. But I've got a gaming table up there now, and we're just waiting. When we're vaccinated, we can actually get together and play games. I've been playing a lot with my daughter. My oldest daughter is 7, and during the lockdown, she became voracious about games. Cool. Not at my behest, but I was like, I'll take it, and she loves learning new games, which is that's my thing. So basically, yeah, anything that comes out now that I'm like, do I think she could play this? I'm bringing it home. What did we play? Last week we played the new Pandasaurus game, Umbria.
Oh yeah, nice.
Like a path building and a little bit of bidding. So it's like her first game of like bidding. So played that. We played via Magica, which is a re-implementation of Rise of Augustus, which was an old Spiel nominee. So that was fun. What else have I been playing? So just this weekend, I got together with some friends that we hadn't been able to get together with for a long time. The couple that we played through all the pandemic legacies with, except Zero, because we haven't had a chance yet. But we play a lot of stuff with them. So we finally got together again, introduced them to Bunny Kingdom, which they liked. Okay. I'm looking on the shelf behind you. One of my favorites from last year was the Dune Imperium.
Oh, okay, yeah.
I see you got the old Dune.
Yep.
The Cosmic Encounter Dune.
Yep. I love them both.
I have not played that one. I've played the Cosmic, but I haven't played the Dune. But yeah, Dune Imperium was probably my favorite game of last year.
Yeah, me too. It's my 2020 number one. Yeah, for sure.
Now, have you played Lost Wounds of Arnak?
Not yet.
Those two get compared a lot, and I haven't played Arnak either.
The setting just didn't appeal to me as much, so now I have to wait till I can find one.
Right.
But that's fine. Did you really like it?
Which one? Arnak?
Ruins of Arnak.
I haven't played it either.
Oh, you haven't? Okay.
We got a few copies in, they sold, and I haven't seen it again. So
yeah.
So I definitely want to give it a try. But yeah, I like the way. I mean, I loved his previous game was Clank, right? Mm-hmm. So Paul Denon, he knows deck building and worker placement and stuff like that. So that's a good one. But, I mean,
my thing with games is like, if it's a good game, it's still going to be a good game a year from now or 2 years from now. And I can be patient.
Well, the problem is you get a backlog. Like that's me right now. Just like games, and then I think about like there are games that I played a lot during quarantine with my wife and Renee and Bob and I. Like we played Ragusa. That was one that we did kind of a deep dive in. Bunny Kingdom, Endeavor, one I had never played, and that was a lot of fun. So yeah, like I said, there's so many games. And
have you played Cubitos? I saw somebody.
Oh yes.
Yeah. Okay.
Or as my daughter calls it, cheese cubes.
Well, when I initially saw the box art before I saw a close up, I thought it was SpongeBob.
Yeah. No, that's what I've heard. People were like, "Is this the SpongeBob game?"
Yeah, but
it makes sense.
Well, I almost missed out on it because I did think it was like a SpongeBob game, and then I. Like you said, there's so many games to read up on, and then eventually I came back to reading up on it because I actually noticed that it was John DeClaire.
Yeah.
And then I realized what it was, and I was like, okay, I need to try this out. And I don't know, we've really enjoyed it. My 8-year-old and I have played probably 15 to 20 times.
Yeah, that's about where I am. Yeah, that was one I also almost missed out on. It was what made me take notice. Someone was like, "Oh, it's Quacks of Quedlinburg, the dice game." And we play a lot of Quacks of Quedlinburg. My daughter loves it. I think that's her favorite game right now. And so I was like, let me download the rule book. And I'm reading the rule book and I'm like, this is Quacks of Quedlinburg, the dice game. Like, so much so that I was almost like, they should have acknowledged Quacks in the rule because this is so similar. But it's like Quacks mixed with, I call it Quacks mixed with Dice Masters / Quarriors, which is another fun game. But
oh man, I used to play a lot of Quarriors back in the day.
Quarriors I've been to Gen Con one time. It was 2011, which is when Quarriors came out, and that was the one game we picked up and just loved it. It's a great game. So
that was good. I liked it. I played Broom Service this week, the card game,
which is better than Broom Service, the board game, in my opinion.
I haven't played the board game in so long, but the card game plays really fast, and it's been really fun. Like I was picking up a copy of The Hobbit for my daughter, and at the half.
Which The Hobbit? There are a few.
Yeah, which one?
Which The Hobbit? Whatever one's the oldest and cheapest at the half.
You mean the book?
The book. Yeah,
the book. No, gotcha.
Yeah. The book.
I thought you meant the game.
Besides War of the Ring, I don't touch a lot of IP games or the original Dune. That's the one that I want. Or I really like that Dune as well, but no, I picked up. It was the card game was half price, and we picked it up, and it was It was. I liked it a lot. We haven't been playing a lot lately. Anything. So this week marked a difference.
it's one of those games that, again, like I played, because Broom Service is actually a board game version of a card game that came before it that I don't think was called Broom Service or something. I don't know, but it won the Kinner Spiel one year. And I was like, I played it and I was like, I didn't like it. But then I played the card game. It's the same way I feel about Zularetto and Coloretto. Like Zularetto, I did not like as much as I thought I should. And then you play Coloretto and you're like, oh, this is just distilled the good part of Zularetto. So I don't need all that extra fluff. I can just play the good part.
Yeah, no, I mean that. See, I guess you're right, because that's one that I'm awaiting a reprint on, and I don't know.
Zularetto?
Coloretto.
Oh, Coloretto. Yeah, is it out of print right now? I guess I haven't had it on the shelf.
It is, because it was going for crazy prices for a little while, like 120, 150 and stupid stuff.
Right.
So, but anyways, yeah. So you might be right. So with all this, I mean, obviously you have an extensive knowledge of board games yourself. How do you introduce somebody that just especially now you're going to get more walk-ins when the pandemic's over.
And we're getting them now already.
yeah. With your new location, how do you introduce somebody who's completely new to modern board gaming? All they know, they might have seen Ticket to Ride or Catan.
Right. Yeah. The nice thing is, I mean, just as I've seen in the past 10 years, culturally, this is known. Gaming is starting to be known. I had my first experience the other day. You said you've worked in some games retail. You probably had the experience. Well, what do you do? Oh, I work at a game store. Like, board games like Monopoly, right?
Yeah.
I had someone at the bank. I said, yeah, I own the game store down the street. We sell board games. And she said, you mean like Ticket to Ride? And I was like, ooh, that's your default for board games. We're starting to infiltrate. It's great. No, I mean, for me, I introduce people just by asking them what their previous experiences with games have been, right? What have you played that you liked? What have you played that you didn't like? When people come into my store, often, you'll have a group come in, maybe two people, maybe more. And one of them is the gamer looking around and I'll engage with that person, but then I'll engage with the other one. What do you like to play? And it's, I don't like board games. And I usually look at them and I say, you had an older sibling that used to beat you at Monopoly all the time, didn't you? Because their experience is just someone dominating them at a game.
Yeah.
Which really means their experience is playing games with people who only have fun when they win. Right? And to really turn someone on to what modern games have to offer, you need to get them to realize these games are fun whether you win or lose. I have played thousands of games. Like I log them. I got like a log on Board Game Geek and I can go see all this stuff. But I don't remember who won 99.9% of them. That's not what it's about. And the difference is, and this is what I'll show people, this is one of the reasons why I think your classic gateway games, like your Ticket to Rides, your Catans, your Carcassonnes, the reason they work so well is because unlike Monopoly, unlike Risk, when the game is over and you have lost, you still look down and see what you've created. I lost a Ticket to Ride, but I have this route, right? I lost a Catan, but I built all these things. When you lose at Monopoly, what do you have to show for it? Nothing. All of my properties have been taken from me. Yeah. You lose at Risk, there are no soldiers on the board, right? So that's the important thing. When I want to introduce someone, I want to say, you're going to enjoy the process of what you did to get to the end game. And you're not going to care whether you won or lost. And I think that's key because, in my mind, that's what gamers like. I mean, the quote unquote gamer, we want to learn new rules. We like the way it makes our brain feel to learn a new rule set, to strategize about it. Yes, we're trying to win because that's part of what you have to do to make the game work.
Sure.
It's not about the winning. And that's what we have to teach our children, right? It's like, did you enjoy the game? Whether or not you won or lost. That's the key component to it there. So just getting people to realize that one thing, I think, is crucial to introducing them to what modern games can do.
Yeah.
Absolutely. I think that's super eloquent, and I'm going to try to instill that more with maybe my 8-year-old daughter.
Yeah. I mean, and co-ops are great for that too. But
yeah.
We're trying. There's a competitive streak in the house.
Sure.
Not so much with me. It could be my fault, but I'm not necessarily going to I don't trounce kids, but I'm not going to
right, you're not gonna
obviously throw a game.
Yeah.
I definitely, if you ever listen to Lulu, I'm sorry, I definitely have thrown games. But it's more about, the experience, the having the fun, the building the things, the discovery, the rules.
Right.
It's not about winning.
Right. Well, and the beauty, again, of so many...
the steps without it being a competition at this point.
The beauty of so many modern games is they admit of multiple strategies. So you don't have to throw a game to just say, you know what? I tried this strategy last time. I'm going to try something different. It may not work as well, but it gives me a new space to play in.
Yep. Absolutely.
Although sometimes there's one game that my wife won't play because the first time we played is Dice Throne. I don't know if you're familiar with Dice Throne.
Yeah.
I love that game. I don't get to play it. But it's like a Yahtzee thing. And your ultimate move is if you can basically roll 5 6s. You got 5 dice. If you roll 5 6s, that's your ultimate. And it's like Yahtzee, you get a couple of rerolls. First time I taught her the game, my first roll, boom, 5 6s.
Oh no.
And it's like, I can't re-roll any of that. It's obvious that I'm throwing the game if I re-roll that.
Yeah.
So just devastated her. Second roll, boom, 5 6s. It's just like, this game is stupid. Like, the odds of this will never happen again. I'm sorry, I did 50 points of damage to your face. But most of the time, like you said, you can. Let's try a different strategy. Maybe I rolled 4 of the 5 6s, but I think if the odds of me getting that last 6, I'd rather re-roll some other things. And you can find ways to not necessarily look like or feel that you're throwing the game.
Yeah.
So, 2 last questions. Where would you like to see tabletop gaming go in the next couple of years? And then anything else that you would like to add? Because we appreciate your time and don't want to go too long because I know you've had a long day. So
gosh, next couple of years. I know I wrote something down. I don't remember what it was. It is really. Let me see what I wrote here. Sorry. Because that was the question. I was like, oh yeah, what does that mean? Oh yes, that's right. So this was a big thing. Again, because my store, at least in the past, never had event space, right?
Mm-hmm.
Obviously, I want gaming to be more mainstream. And that is happening, and we'll see that.
Yeah.
I think there needs to be some way more visibility on at-home play.
Huh.
I believe the vast majority of games are played at home.
Yeah.
What's visible is, your friendly local game store and the game space and that sort of thing. And that can sometimes warp people's perceptions into like, oh, that's where games happen, right? And it's a great place for games to happen. I'm not saying anything negative about that, but I think more and more people need to realize this. It's great. Have some friends over, have a meal, break out a game. That's where gaming's really going to happen and really going to grow. It's just not visible. We don't see it because it's happening in private.
Yeah.
Watsy said at a trade show that I went 2 years ago, they said it was the GTS trade show. Mm-hmm. One of the Watsy reps said that they think that something like, based off of their data, 92% of Magic players are kitchen table players.
Yeah.
So,
wow.
But you wouldn't think it.
No.
Right, exactly. Because obviously what gets the press is the big tournaments and all of that stuff. And for good reason.
And they're also the most vocal online. The kitchen table players might be reading the stuff that people are talking about, but for the most part, the people that are active in the scene are the ones that are chatting it up.
Well, and the other thing too is that growth will happen. We're going back to that gamer thing. Growth will happen because people want an activity to do with their friends and family, not because people want to play games. And the distinction there is important. It's something I heard several years ago, and I wish I remember who said it or where I read it. Some people treat their opponent as a game component.
Yeah.
I need a person sitting across me because really what I want is to play this game. And I can't play the game without a person. So let me go down to my local game store. Let me go onto my meetup group. Let me go on something so I could find someone to play the game with me. Again, I'm not begrudging that. That's cool. That's fine. But if 92%, like Watsy says, of the players are kitchen table players, these are people who want to do something with their friends. That thing happens to be a game, not people who want to play a game. And then the extra thing they have to do is go find players.
Right.
So when we see growth in that area, if that's 92% of the market, shoot, let's grow that market more so than the other.
Yeah. I mean, it's no fun. I get what you're saying. You don't want to begrudge anybody, but like, it's also no fun to be on the other end of that.
Oh, for sure.
where when somebody's like, "Here, I'm going to play my favorite game. Since you're here, would you like to play?" And the only reason you're asked to play is so that they get their ideal player count. Like,
I had an experience once years ago with someone, a particular collectible card game that I'd been playing fairly heavily, but casually. Like I didn't go to tournaments and stuff, and I was just like, I wasn't net decking, I wasn't on the scene. I was just like, oh, to make some stuff to play. And a person that I played with fairly regularly, I think I canceled because I was like, I don't really have a deck, or I wasn't feeling it that night. And that person said, well, why don't I just come over so I can test out some of my tournament decks? I was like, I don't want to just get demolished by your tournament decks.
Yeah.
That's not fun for me. So yeah, I mean, that does happen. But like sometimes though, if you got a nice competitive relationship with someone and you deep dive, that can be very fun.
That can be a lot of fun. I mean, just building decks can be fun in games too, but that's a whole different thing.
I was in a competitive scene. We had like 6 guys. 5 of them were vocal online, 50% of the conversation probably. And I enjoyed that experience, but I've also had a guy when I worked at a shop come in, ask to play a game, and I was like, sure, we'll play. And I ended up being the additional component that he needed to play. and it was an awful experience because, long story short, we switched Magic decks. So he was using my deck.
Yeah.
And whatever, you're just going to win. But he was very rude about the whole experience. But then also he would bend my cards. And I was like, hey, man, it's cool that you're winning and that you used my deck. And, because he's just gloating. And I'm just like, I'm clocked in. I don't care.
Right.
Be a little less bendy on his cards, He had a power 9 in a safety deposit box a couple states over.
Okay.
Means he had like tens of $1,000s worth of Magic cards.
Ah, gotcha.
Yeah, I like Magic. I don't care.
I don't think he had those. I think he was just one of those people.
Okay.
That was
So no. I'm sure Magic people would get that joke. I didn't. So
that's that Digimon poke thing, right? You're not talking about magic tricks.
Yes. Out of the hat.
I'm messing.
Yeah, no, I was going with it. It's the Tagachi. The Tagachi. You walk with them and feed
right. Yeah.
I'm still taking care of mine.
It didn't die of old age yet?
No. Well,
apparently they don't have a lifespan.
Generation.
How is the wasn't there supposed to be a Digimon TCG or something coming out this year? How's that doing?
Maybe I am the non-TCG. We sell Keyforge. And actually do well with it.
Great game for a game store.
Yep, I love the Keyforge, and we sell the living card games. But that is my I do board games to the detriment of everything else. I mean, we do role playing and we're starting to try to branch into miniatures and stuff, but the whole collectible aspect, I know nothing about it.
Wait until your customers yell at you for carrying Magic but not carrying legacy rares, cards that are worth like, well, why don't you have dual lands that are worth like $2,000 a piece? And I'm
you can't yell at me because I don't carry Magic.
Yeah. I had a guy yell at me once, why don't you have these? And I'm like, because they're really expensive and we don't have that kind of capital.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Anything else you and I, Kylie, to end up the night?
No. I mean, I appreciate you having me on. It's been fun to just chat with some people in the industry. I mean, your listeners probably know. When I met you, you were working at a game store, but you don't work there anymore, right? No. What are you doing now? And you getting into content creation? Obviously, you're doing podcasts.
Yeah, trying to. We today I shot a review of Ruins of Mars, and it just takes a lot of work because this is my second job. My primary job now is back to homeschooling my boys. Then we're back in Cincinnati.
That's a big job.
Yeah. There's days. I love my boys, but there are days.
Oh yeah.
So that's what I'm back to doing is focusing on the homeschool. So, I don't know when we'll see you, but I'll see you at some point.
I'll ride along.
Okay.
Save gas.
Maybe we'll just have to take a road trip when things are
a little easier. I mean, I'm planning Origins.
Steelers home game.
That's the wrong sports ball.
Wait. Pirates.
There you go.
God.
Don't worry. People can't see the hand motions if they just listen to the podcast part. He was doing baseball, people.
Yeah.
You're swinging a bat.
Yeah. Well, versus the Reds, though. I know, that's what I was thinking, and then I don't. Yeah.
Okay.
I think I got redder.
We're gamers. We're gamers. It's fine.
Yeah.
But no, I mean, Origins is hopefully maybe going to happen. If it happens, I'm planning to be there. So that's at least the start of some conventions getting back. But we'll see what happens.
Yeah, exactly. We'll see what happens. Thanks for joining us.
Yeah, it's good to be on, guys. Good to meet you, Ryan.
Yeah, pleasure meeting you.
Thanks, Kylie.